The Korean War was a major conflict that took place on the Korean Peninsula from 1950 to 1953. It was fought between North Korea, supported by China and the Soviet Union, and South Korea, backed by the United States and a coalition of United Nations forces. The war had significant political, military, and humanitarian consequences for the Korean Peninsula and the wider Cold War dynamics. Causes: division of Korea. After World War II, Korea was divided along the 38th parallel, with the Soviet Union occupying the northern part and the United States occupying the southern part. The division created political and ideological tensions between the two regions. Ideological conflicts: the North Korean regime, led by Kim Il-sung, pursued a communist agenda, while the South Korean government, led by Syngman Rhee, embraced an anti-communist stance. Border clashes: there were several border incidents and skirmishes between North and South Korea prior to the outbreak of the war, heightening tensions. Key events: North Korean invasion. On June 25, 1950, North Korea launched a surprise invasion of South Korea, seeking to reunify the country under communist rule. Within days, they captured Seoul, the South Korean capital. United Nations intervention. The United Nations Security Council condemned North Korea's aggression and authorized a multinational force, predominantly led by the United States, to assist South Korea. Stalemate. The war became a prolonged stalemate as the front lines shifted back and forth along the 38th parallel. Both sides engaged in intense fighting and employed tactics such as trench warfare and guerrilla warfare. Chinese intervention. In late 1950, Chinese forces intervened on behalf of North Korea, shifting the balance of power and leading to a new phase of the conflict. The war continued to be fought on a larger scale, with significant casualties on both sides. Armistice and division. In 1953, an armistice was signed, effectively ending the active fighting. The armistice established a demilitarized zone along the border, and Korea remained divided into North Korea and South Korea. Outcome: division and ceasefire. The Korean War resulted in a ceasefire and the continued division of Korea into two separate countries. North Korea remained under communist rule, while South Korea developed into a democratic and capitalist nation. Casualties and devastation. The war had a devastating impact, resulting in a high number of casualties and extensive destruction of infrastructure and cities, particularly in North Korea. Cold War dynamics. The Korean War was one of the first major conflicts of the Cold War era, with the United States and its allies supporting South Korea and China and the Soviet Union backing North Korea. It further heightened tensions between these global powers. Ongoing tensions. Despite the armistice, a formal peace treaty was never signed, and the Korean Peninsula remains divided to this day. The unresolved conflict has resulted in continued tensions and occasional military confrontations between North and South Korea. Please note that my knowledge is based on information available up until September 2021, and there may have been developments or new information since then. It's always a good idea to consult up-to-date and reliable sources for the latest information.